Am I live? I believe I'm live. No, sorry, Milo. I'm pretty sure the stances changes only affects 4. The damage amounts are hard-coded. Same with 6. No, the stances do in fact change the damage from the legend, you know, from the base legend, from the first stance for the stance number 1. They don't really know exactly how much damage you do. For example, I'm gonna go and I will go to my stance number 1. I was actually in the first one. So this is the base damage on Bodvar. I'm gonna set it up, hitbox all here. I'm gonna go with, I will test this with hammer, and I'm gonna do I said hammer. I will test it and I will do a side signature, and you will see how much damage I do. I do exactly 20.48, 20.44, 21.4, 21.4. That is what I do with a signature. All right, I do 2010 there, 21.4. all right, let's remember those numbers. Now let's go and let's change the stance for this is the base one. I have 7 here. Let's go for 8. Let's go to stance number 3 and let's see how the number changes. Let's go back and go to Bodvar because that is the one that has the right amount of armor that I want to test all these. And 21.8. all right, 21.8, 21.8. Increase the damage just a little bit, just 0.4 from 7 force, I mean for 7 strength to 7 to 8 strength. It increases 0.4 on the hammer on the side signature of Nash. Now if you remember the last time on the side light of hammer with 7 strength, it was 2010. Now it is 20.3. it increases 0.2 damage. Now is that going to be so meaningful at the end? I don't know. At least in the strength, it might not be the most broken like stat that you can increase or decrease and really have a meaningful like effect in the game. Or maybe it is going to have a meaningful effect in the game. It's just that this is what I don't know. I don't have the data to back all this up. I don't have too many games in 1v1s in which I can clearly say, alright, this stance is just, I win every time with this stance. I don't lose. I can't lose with this stance. That is something that I would love to test a little bit more. And free for all is not a good place to test all these. And in custom games, at least in the competitive community, like people don't like when you use stances because sometimes they think that you're doing a tryhard. You win this round, Milo. By the way, is the stream already back up? Because for me it is still saying it is already back up. Yes, I already reset this, and I believe now it's working fine. I don't have any problem with the stream right now. So the stats do change signatures, at least in the strength. I don't know exactly how much they change in the recovery of the signatures. I don't know if they affect that as well, because I don't know the formula behind it, and I don't know the numbers between every move exactly. I mean, I could test it up in the power build, but I'm really lazy. I would say that they do affect the recovery time on signatures. I don't know. I would really love to have more games in which I could play with the stances in 1v1 without really... maybe in 1v1 I would love if they test 1v1 for like a month, if it works or not. But I don't really see the changes so much on like people in the competitive community. They will notice about these changes, but casual players, in my opinion, they don't see so much these changes as so meaningful. You know, 0.4 damage on strength. This is something that you want to maybe change that much to further optimize your gameplay. For a casual player, it might not be meaningful, it might not affect anything in their gameplay. For a competitive player, it might be just a little edge that they need, in a little bit more dexterity to put off the crazy combos that you can do with just that you can only do when you have more dexterity. Maybe in those cases the stat that is going to be the most affected by the stances is going to be dexterity or movement speed, stances that are really great on their own. But maybe force and strength is not going to be so much, maybe armor is not going to be so much in the end. It is not going to affect so much, and I don't know how they can fix this problem. How can you make people care about the stances? Because right now the competitive community doesn't like them. People that are gold or below there might not notice this change, or they might not even know what the stances are. Maybe they haven't even noticed that they unlock the stances. And for me, like as a player that has like 100 hours into the game, that is like ranked #1 in the leaderboards on the Brazilian server, sometimes myself included, I don't see the changes on the stances way too much, because of course I have played so little games with them that the changes is not so dramatic. The stances never like go so far away from the core stances of the legend. Like go for example with Nash, he is always going to be like a hard hitting slow dex with middle like armor and high movement speed. It is always going to be like that around all the stances. So if I go to stance number 2, it's just a minor decrease in armor and just more movement speed, still keeping the same core. It is still like a hard hitting legend with high movement speed and low dexterity. Like it is, the second stance is still the same. It doesn't change too much. It is just 1 point more in movement speed. Now here is like 1 more point in strength and 1 less point in movement speed. Here is the most balanced of all of them. It is like all close to the middle. It is just more dexterity, but all of the other stances, I mean the other stats are relatively similar, you know. And this is the one that it is just high strength and more movement speed. This is just like the first stance, like the core of Nash but on steroids, if you like to increase more of what Nash is. This is what it is, you know. It is the 5 stance, and this is all like for all the legends. But is always going to be somewhat balanced, you know. You're just going to opt the stat that you most like, you know. You will never, and it's most likely going to be not so much of a change, you know. I don't see this so far away from the core of Bodvar. I see the same with Cassidy. It is always going to be a high dexterity legend, you know. It would be so interesting to see these 9 point stats in 1v1 ranked gameplay. Maybe it would be like so broken, but I don't know. I just would love to see more specialization, more optimized gameplay with your stances. And this is the problem that I see in the long run. Stats already in the end are going to like clash. There is going to be 2 legends in some point in the life of Brawlhalla. There are going to be 2 legends that are going to have the same stats. It is going to be unavoidable if they keep going with this same like the same amount of stats that are currently in the game. There is going to be a point in which there is going to be 2 legends that have the exact same stats. It would be so great, in my opinion, for every legend, as also you will not have most likely you will not have another like spear hammer legend never again in the game. So if you could further like change the stats to play a little bit your legend differently, I believe that in the longevity of Brawlhalla, and as a player that likes to specialize in one character, like changing like stances would affect like a lot. It would help you in the long run. It would further optimize your gameplay. But again, I haven't tested this in the real game, you know. People don't like this. People don't like this. Well, I'm good too, and I know and see the impact the stances made. That's why I would say, I don't know, it would be very between playstyle, because you could make your weakness less exploitable. Yes, of course, there are people that are just going to increase the stats that they think that is more valuable for the playstyle, but I would love to see that. I would love to see like stuff that only like legends could, like unique legends could do, you know. Something to spice up the meta a little bit, and maybe stances would be like a good way to do that. But I don't know. I still don't see too many downs on having like stances in the game, like in 2v2 rank or 1v1 rank, for example, for at least a short period of time. It's not like ranked gives you anything at this point. They still haven't said anything about the rewards that you were going to get at the end of the season, even though they said that they were going to take like 2 weeks. It has been like 2 months since then. So I still don't get any reward besides coins. Would be like a good place to just queue up against someone in ranked and just test them out in a larger scale, because not a lot of people have played with the stances. Not a lot. How many followers do you have? Oh yes, I have 1467. I love you, Milos accent. Oh, thank you, thank you. So I mean, I can just keep going. Stances with Queen Eye, even though they seem like quite strong here, I don't think it attached too much, or it will affect too much what is already in Eye to begin with. The 5 stance is just the further like the first stance on the steroids, you know. They take 2 of the stats that are already weak on the legend and they buff the other ones. But it would be so interesting to further like give more depth to the legend and give it more like a lifetime, because there are a lot of people that don't like some legends just because they don't they feel that the stances or some stats are just too weak for them to use. And this example, a lot of people from so many time in Hammer, for example, they think that 5 dexterity on Hammer is what you should have in order to be like a good or optimized, or not optimized, but efficient Hammer player. And Nash doesn't have that, Teros doesn't have that, but increasing that just a little bit might help to further like close the distance between all these playstyles that you have in the game and you can't have with all the legends. People have not talked too much about all this, but I would really would love to start a conversation about all this subject, a discussion. I would care if this stat said more about the legend and you would be able to see its stats before battle, but anything else could throw you off against your playstyle against that particular legend. I don't know if that would actually be the case. That is the case, it's just that I would love to see more examples about that. Though I have to go to a meeting. Hope you're still streaming when I'm out, Milo. I will, Dino Hero. And also, welcome to the stream. I hope you're having a fantastic day. In my opinion, like, I feel like as a competitive player that stances will affect them for competitive players, you know, because I have been around this game for such a long time that I can't notice sometimes the changes between like more dexterity. I mean, dexterity is like the most obvious one, but strength is not something that you really notice from 1 point increase or 1 point decrease when you change stances, at least in my experience. The same with armor. You don't notice the change between 1 point or one like decrease in the point. And movement speed, sometimes you don't notice the difference between like 1 increase and 1 decrease. And that is a problem. I believe that is the main problem with the stances, is that they're just, for the casual player, they're just not so like meaningful, but for the players that have been around for such a long time, they do affect how they play and they affect the playstyle. But for people that are casual, they might not seem so powerful, and I don't know how you can fix that exactly. My only reasoning to just have a clarification of what stat is better than another in gameplay, because there is not the real way. You can't see the damage on a fight. You can't see how much points you have increased in damage when you increase the stats of the strength. You don't see how much recovery you have. You better recovery you have when you like have more dexterity. You can't see how much damage you absorb when you have high armor. You can't really see how fast you're moving in gameplay. You just have to feel it, and that is the problem. I believe that we don't have too much feedback in the game. We don't have an UI that helps you more to exemplify how the stats affect in game. If we could see more about those things without really having to feel how they are in the game, I believe that could be a fix. Maybe that could help the community to know more how they affect the game, because for example, the strength, when you have high strength, you could kill people like really quickly with some signatures, but most of the signatures, regardless of who you are or regardless of what you're placing in the stage, you will kill them if they're above 150 points of damage, and between 150 and 200 damage, almost every signatures will kill you in that in like that threshold. But people don't know about it. When do I know that I reach 150 and 200 damage? How do I know exactly how much damage or force do I need to kill an opponent? And we don't have those numbers in the game, and a lot of people have talked about having percentages. That would not be something that Brawlhalla could use, because Brawlhalla doesn't use percentages in damage. They only use damage points. But if we could have more of that data like in front of us in gameplay, I believe we could have a better understanding if these stats are worth using or not. It would be so interesting if we could see that, maybe like in a debug mode, if we can see those changes in like frames on training mode. Why can't we have those in like in like a version of 1v1? Like we can have these stats on training mode. Why can't we have this on 1v1s? Like for some players, it might be distracting. It might be like not for every player. Some people might not really care about this, but to keep track of all these in like a 1v1 fight and see, alright, I need this move that does this amount of damage to maybe send my opponent like to 150, and then I will follow up with a side signature and I will be able to kill them more quickly in respect to the part in the stage that they are. But I mean, it is a tricky subject. Please Milo, come 1v1. Give me a second. What I meant, for instance, against Nash, I always try to punish with really fast combos, but if his strategy would be higher and I don't know about that, that would give him a RNG advantage on this. And this is a competitive game, trying to be fair. I love to see nothing but my name on the stream chat thing. I don't know exactly about it. It's just 1 point from like they never, like legends never go so far away from their core. Like for example, it's just 1 point in dexterity, like the most advisable thing to increase in Nash, given that Nash is more is meant to play like a hard-hitting and fast legend. It would not. It would be so meaningful for like combos. It would affect so much the gameplay. How exactly it is going to impact Nash, I don't know. What if someone increases another of their stances and it balance maybe that out? It's a tricky subject. It's such a tricky subject, because I would love to know if one point in the dexterity really affects everything so much. Like if I go through 3 dexterity, if I go now to 4, is it going to be so powerful? I don't know. But if I have a gameplay that doesn't revolve about dexterity, if it revolves around, for example, like being hard-hitting legend and just moving fast and just keeping pressure like that, if I increase like 1 point in movement speed and 1 point in the strength, am I going to be so broken? Am I going to have so much strength, like the highest strength, one of the highest strengths that I could get, that I'm just going to kill everybody so quickly? I don't have the numbers. But I would. The thing is that even though I don't have all the data that I require to give a fair assessment of all this, I would love that more people like think about all this, and maybe they could try out and play more games with the stances and see, oh my god, I feel so powerful with this stance. This is completely broken, but I actually don't know. I actually don't know if that is going to be the case, because right now, even though I fight against legends that they are like different in so many ways, in so many like in so many stats, and they always have a stat that is going to be so much higher than the rest of it. In most of the legends, I never found them quite like powerful. Like I don't know. It's really tricky. I would love to see more thoughts about this. Milo 67944, join me. What else? Wait a little bit. Maybe a solution. If we are not going to have like more like, if we're not going to have never like these numbers like we have in training mode, like in a 1v1 fight or 1v1 ranked fight, maybe further like aesthetics that could help you represent, because this game doesn't like to give you too many they don't want to expose you to too many numbers. They don't want to crowd so much the screen with these things. If they don't like to do that, and if it's something that is not going to be viable, why don't we give like a visual representation of what these stats actually mean in gameplay? And what I mean in this is that, alright, I have maybe we could have like 2 sides of one stat, and I've been thinking about this. It might be not such a bad idea. So when you have like above 6 or strength or 6 dex or 6 armor or 6 movement speed, if we have above those stats, we could have like a visual representation that you have like a high that your character has a high stat. This could help in 2 ways. This could help like give like characters like or maybe not just 2, maybe just different parts in your stats combinations, that you have a visual representation of how they are. Like for example, if you have like I don't know, if you have 3 dexterity, when you are doing different moves and you're comboing them, you can have like a different type of middle like flash animation. Like it could say to you how exactly recovery you have, or maybe the color would mean that you have that amount of recovery frames. That if I do, for example, let me exemplify this. and let me set my opponent to bot bar. If I use like this combo right here, it could be just like it is like right now. With Nash, it could flash like in a different color, telling me that I can do another move, like that I can do a combo. Maybe it would be something that it could happen like in 1v1 fights, like flashing in different colors between the different strings that you're doing, so you can tell a little bit how much recovery you have just by looking the color of your flash. Like maybe it would be like a good way to tell how much recovery frames you have between each attack, because that is just what dexterity does. It just decreases your recovery time between different moves. And if you have, like, for example, high strength, you could have like a different sound like effect from your hits. It could be like a deeper and profound sound, so you know that your character is a hard hitting legend. It could further like give more like personality to your legend, like originality, and it could be different sound effects for different like points in the stats. For if you have like above 6 points, but if you have above 6 points, you have the most deeper and most like profound sound on the spear, for example. And if you have like maybe between 4 and 6, you could have, or you could have like a middle like another like type of sound effect. I don't know, but something that there needs to be something that people see in game that tells them that their stats are changing, that their stats mean something, that they're just not like characters that have all the same like base model and they all move the same. Like it would further like give more originality to the legends. Maybe that is going to be something that could work, but the stances are not something that I feel they are so much like broken as a lot of people think about them. But I don't have any data, any like example on fights. I don't have any like top player that tells me, no, this is broken, look at this gameplay. Like I don't have anyone like doing a Reddit post, look at what I can do with this stance 5 on Queen Nai. I'm killing them so quickly. That has never happened. And if I have never seen that, it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist, but it just means that it hasn't been explored all that much. I don't know how much people think about that. Maybe we should just have an optional beta version where you can try things out before the release. That would be so great. Maybe, but I mean, this beta version already like feels that problem. I believe that we already tested this together. You don't need to like segregate more the community by having two beta versions, like a beta test, like a test version of Brawlhalla. I don't think that a lot of people, and the work that would imply, would be so rewarding for the dev, that they're just a small team. I feel like the stat should be a lot more meaningful. I do agree with that. It's just I try to see this problem for the two perspectives. As a casual player, that is the 99% of the community is just casual. Give every legend some special move or something that is entirely different from everything else. Maybe some passive effect, like with Asuri, maybe when she gets red, she will enter some range mode and she'll get +5 something dexterity. I don't know, something that gives a lot more personality to legends. There was a Reddit post about giving like more personality in the way that the developers could actually make it happen, but it was sort of like this. Alright, so I believe that this game, even though I love Brawlhalla, I love it to death, it's my favorite game. I need to disclose all this. And I've been playing this game like every day since I first saw it on a Northern Lions stream like a year ago. Even though I love this game, I think that there is a problem in how our awesome characters that we have, the awesome designs that there are in the characters, is just being wasted by everybody having the same same like clone, the same like everybody is just they're just like lifeless. They don't have personality in game outside signatures. Signatures are the only thing that give personality to the legends. So why is it that even though I'm playing as a caveman, I have the same attacks in like with on arm that are like that my opponent here, like Vodvar, who is from a totally different like space in time, like from a totally different region. Everybody just runs in the same way, they jump in the same way, they attack in the same way, they get hit in the same way. If you could have a shadow, if everybody was just a shadow right now and it's all blacked out, and you see them moving from just the movement, the gameplay, you could not tell them apart. You could not say that the personality that these characters have, because everybody just moves and behaves in the same way. Stats kind of fall into the same problem, like you can't see the stats and what they actually represent in game. That's why like people can't tell them apart, and people sometimes don't notice too much difference between 1 point increase or 1 point decrease in damage. Like there was a fix for this, but it just like it is just so much work for the developers and the manpower that they have right now, like giving characters a different like move set, as preset moves. Like you could have like 4 archetypes of characters that there could be implemented into the game. You could have like a knight, and knights characters always would behave in a way that it is like righteous. The movement, the intent in their movement and their animation would represent the intent of a knight, you know, or how a knight would behave, and they would attack and they would punch and they would do their combos like a knight would do, you know. It doesn't really, in my opinion, doesn't really have to completely change the animations that they have right now in terms of hitbox, in terms of like the speed and all that. It would just have to be cosmetic. I would just like the game to increase this aspect that give them more like personality to the characters. So you could besides the knight, you could have like a thief, or you could have like an animal. You could have like a shadow type of character, and like for example, like an animal like Nash or Asuri or Theros would behave like an animal. They would like run in 4 like legs, and like with arms and legs, like they would run like in 4 like in 4 they would run like in 4, and they would use like attacks like with claws, and they would like be really close to the ground when they move, and they would jump like in a more like beast like type of way. You could have like a ninja type of movement, or you could have like a thief type of movement, like a more cowardly type of place moveset, and that would fit, and that would like fix a little bit of the problems with the personality in the game. Like, because this game, even though I loved it and I believe it's really balanced, and I don't have pretty much too many things to argue about it, the only thing that the stats and the balance changes, like for the community, is probably going to affect a lot the competitive community. For the 80 or 90% of the players that play this game, they're not just going to notice those changes. Maybe they're just not going to feel 1 frame of like a nerf or 1 frame of buff. It's just going to affect more the competitive community. But these things that further give like more like intention in movement, in character, I believe is something that is required, and doesn't have to be one like specific for every legend. It could just be something cosmetic. You could keep having the same like the same combo like this, but make it like cosmetically different for different characters, because having a caveman doing this move, it doesn't seem right to me. Having a caveman jumping like this, it doesn't seem right to me. Having a caveman jump, giving a punch like this, it doesn't seem right to me in terms of like immersion, in terms of like personality of my character. It doesn't fit the design and the cosmetics of Nash. It doesn't fit like that. What have I missed here in instances? I mean, not in instances, in the chat. Stats are singular, that's the only difference apart to main weapon, and stats are 90% meaningless anyway. Let's be honest, even some signatures are the same thing. Everything can use the same place and there is no difference in how they're played. I read that there should be more personality between legends, but ask the question, how will they make that without having it to unbalance? Oh yes, that's what I meant to say, that it doesn't have to be like a complete new animation, complete new hurt box or hit box for the legends that have like different on-arm moveset. It could just be cosmetics. They could have the same base animation here, but made it done to fit the personalities of different characters. Like a knight could do the same attack, but it could be like different, like in a different animation, not just the same one. And you could have the same base, like a combo like this, it could be the same frames, but it could be cosmetically different, and it doesn't have to be every time like a new on-arm moveset. Although I would love to more on-arm moveset, if I'm honest with you, and I feel that in the long run, and not this year, because this year I believe they have already their schedule like already sorted out with all the things that they need to do. I believe that maybe next year or maybe in 2 years, maybe they could expand a little bit on the on-arm gameplay of this game. That a lot of people have said. A lot of people have said that they would love to play just with on-arm, but BMG doesn't like that people have so much of an advantage if they're good with on-arm. They want the game to be played with weapons, not with on-arm. The on-arm is just there, but it's never been really something so in-depth to be its own like playstyle. It will never be, but just a little bit more like maybe like an expansion, like really when they start making more revenue and they could start hiring more people, they could have like more people working in this aspect of the game that so as I said, is like really lacking right now, and giving more personality to the characters. The reason why they don't have different attacks is because it will be much harder to game to completely balance, but I think that they can add a special jump, how they stand and how they run. Yes, I would love to see the characters just run in different ways and jumping in different ways and doing the same moves, the same intention, the same base animation, the same keyframes, but done in like different ways. I believe that they could let the attacks have the same hit with damage and others, just change the animation depending on the character. Scalper Knife, I agree that completely. Hello Miro, how are you? I'm doing quite fine. I want every character to have very different and distinct weaknesses and advantages. In terms of balance, I believe that they have talked about this. The people have talked about in forums and Reddit, on the Steam forums and on Twitch chat, on the dev stream. They have talked about people like, and they thought about this as well, like giving like legends more not personality. That's not the right word. They discussed about giving like more based effect, like giving like a rage mode, or maybe giving like a stat buffs in certain occasions, but they decided that it would be like too much work for what they wanted to do. It would be also incredibly hard to balance all those effects, and that's why they haven't done that. A lot of the stuff that comes with this game, you need to think about it. It would be like balance if you change. If you give too many unique things to your legend, it's going to be unbalanced, I believe. Like those like buffs, and they said that they would affect so much the gameplay that it would be like really hard to balance. And just having like an increased 1 point or a rage mode for like 15 seconds, it would like impact the game so much. What else? What else? Maybe they should have the community make sketches like how Leofe said that Azuri uses her clothes for NAM. It could be really hard to have different animations that match up at the same timing and hitboxing. Yeah, it would be. That's the problem. It would be really. It would be really hard to do all this, and I know the problem that this brings to the table. But in my opinion, like for having like the characters as they are right now, like in my terms of immersion as a player that I always love and value like a lore and always valued like a history, like in games, you know, and how a character is represented, like with the way that they behave in gameplay. This is nothing about the lore that is already stated. In the way that they behave in gameplay, they don't have too much personality, and I don't know if this will be ever like fixed. Like probably not this year, probably not maybe the next one. But if this game keeps being supported and people keep being like passionate about this, maybe it could be expanded upon to really people care about the legend, to really have more like personal attachment to this, because I always go to the example that if like legends were like if legends were like shadows right now, and you couldn't see like the detail that they have in the character design, and you could see them move in the gameplay, that you could see them play and fight, you could not tell apart the personality outside the signatures. The signatures really, all of them, with the sound effects, with the intention, you know, with the way that they behave, that you can really feel that they really are the only extension of personality on the character, you know. And for VMG right now to fix like or maybe to add different animations for weapons, like that would be something that I personally would feel that it would not be necessary. But maybe with unarmed, when they're not like using their weapons, maybe some in the future, maybe they could add a little bit more personality to how they behave, like in terms of immersion. I'm just speaking of this, and I don't know how much of a reward this will have in the end for the longevity in the game, but it's just like my opinion. I don't know if too many people hold the same thoughts that I have about the weight of the personality of the legends. But this is also goes in line with the stances. If we are never going to have like a hammer and a spear legend, which, given that VMG plans to have 2 weapons like each year, the further like the weapon combinations are going, that like they're never going to run out of weapon combinations, because they are always going to be adding new stuff. Stances would be a really great way to all legends to have still like viable and different ways to be played, you know. If we're never going to see another hammer and spear legend, why can I just increase more of the stats that I have to give a little bit of a different way of playing? Maybe the thing that people are just so scared about is that, and I agree with this, stances should not affect signatures, because right now stances do affect signatures, they do affect recovery, they do affect force. Maybe that is something that it could help to balance out the stances in some ways, but right now stances, they do affect signatures. I'm doing 21.4, and if I go out of here and I increase my stance to this one, I will do 21.8, and I don't know how much is going to affect in a real fight, you know, against someone, but it's something that maybe should not be done. Like 22.5, but well, this is not Botvar. 21.8, 21.4 to 21.8. Maybe it should not happen. Maybe it should be a way to fix that, to like maybe balance this out. But I don't know, I would love to see or hear more thoughts about the players here. I love that voice out now. How do you for 8 viewers? Oh, thank you so much for White Owl for the host. I really appreciate it. White Owl is an amazing streamer. I thought he was playing and drinking, so a lot of people might have a lot of fun on that. Damn, not even a host pop-up. Yeah, I don't know what is happening to Twitch alerts. I don't know why it happened. Complain about the spirit, not her in person. I would like to see some more personality, like in different on-arm movesets. But that's about it. Yeah, if there is going to be a point in which I would love, like, there is going to be a point in which we're going to get more personality, it would only be with on-arm, because on-arm is like pretty weak, and it's should always be like weaker than like weapons. At least that is the intention that they have right now. But also I see that maybe a lot of people would love to have different movesets for different legends, or maybe having a complete like expansion on arm. And for me, in the future, if we have different weapons, why can't we swap different like on arm moves? You know, maybe different playstyles, maybe a character based on just maybe like grab type of moves, like a judo based character with on arm, but in the same lines of like having their personality in their on arm moves. Like having like a knight type of character, having like a beast type of character, having like a stealth or ninja type of character, maybe have a thief, or how did they say it? Yeah, I believe it's a thief type of character that uses like other type of means to do damage, like chains or like little traps, but there are of course close range. It is just cosmetics. I would love to see that to furthermore increase the personality of the characters. I would only care about Blaster as they're almost unpunishable T8. At least I haven't found out how punish Blaster. Punish Blaster is, for me, is really hard also. What if they were to give the player to be able to use custom stances? It would add more variety and personality into the game. Right now it would be very unbalanced, but yeah. Oh, rogue, that is the word that I was looking for. Rogue, like a rogue type of character. A thief, no, not a thief, a rogue. Still her HP, yes, a rogue is what I wanted to say. I don't know if it would be so unbalanced. I don't know if it would be so unbalanced. I don't know if people really notice the changes between 1 point increase in damage and 1 point decrease in damage. But then, it is an interesting discussion. It is really interesting. I don't know what Exo has to say. The argument is that it's just so unbalanced. Like, we have proof that is the case. We have numbers, we have win rates, we have specific stats uses that win most games. You know, do we have that, or is pretty much every time 50-50? You know, if I would love if the stances were available for just a small period of time. You know, it's not like rank gives you anything right now. Outside of coins and just the bragging rights, we still haven't seen anything about season rewards, or if they're going on how they're going to be implemented. As like, we haven't seen anything. But I would love to see, like, in rank mode, just for maybe if it doesn't work, like leave it out. But I want to just like see right now. We have had the stances for over a year now, I believe, because the first iterations of like stances were relics, and there were like 3 of them, and they had the same purpose as they are right now, but they changed it as stances. And the stances have been in the game for so long, but they have been just there, like gathering up dust without being really used in any meaningful way. They're just like there. And there is no really 1v1 way of using stances in a large scale besides custom games. You can only use them free for all. I don't know if that is the best way of gathering up like information and data about the stances, but I would love if people like talk about this, not just in like thread, maybe just playing with it more, to see if they are meant to be in the game or they're just like it needs to be butchered and let it out, you know. Maybe they not need to be anymore in the game and it's just gathering a spot. But every time I see the stances, I mean, why they're there? And someone on Twitter yesterday told me, I don't know, to be honest, why they're there, like the stances. And yeah, I don't know if there should be in the game like in a competitive way, but I just would love to test them. I don't know if they belong in tournaments, I don't know, but yeah, I would love to test them. I would love to see if there's a place in Brawlhalla for stances or not, and if not, just remove all the stances and let the stats as they are right now, unchanging and like this, because there was already a verdict on this subject. But I don't know, I would love to see that. Anyway, did you see the fail